I can do, sir, please. Don't do this to my wife, man. You don't know what you're doing to my family, man. Please. I'm begging you. I'm literally where am I going to put my feet? Sir, I'm begging you, please. Please. Please.
That is not a crime, and you're telling me to get out of my vehicle.
Do you know where Lieutenant Mingus is right now? So no, he's not in the building?
I don't know. I'm not.
What do you know? I'm not telling you nothing else until I find out who's driving that vehicle. You not a supervisor, bro. I need somebody higher than you right now.
If you didn't know, I went to the police academy and they kicked me out.
That's my purse! I don't know you!
Spit me on my face right now. She spit in my face.
When I talked to my cousin the other day, I said to him, this place is not, make sure that you keep a record of our calls because this could be my last phone call because this is a very dangerous place. And he didn't really understand that, and his reply was, yeah, I'm glad those people are in there and not out here with me. Those people belong in there. And that was just his perspective. And that's what he really thinks. When the truth is that 75% of these people don't belong in jail. They've done things, but they don't belong in this kind of horrific, barbaric system. And then the real danger comes if I piss off these guards. They can put me in the hole, ruin my mental psyche. That you have to really behave with these guards. You can't have a bad day. You can't wake up and shrug your shoulder or roll your eyes. You can't not follow a direct order from the correctional officer, because if you do disobey, you, my friend, will have a rougher ride than you're already having. And so for the average American who believes that I belong in a dungeon, you just haven't been through it. I don't belong here. I've never hurt anybody. I've never threatened anybody. I've never beat up anybody. I haven't stolen someone's property. I haven't embezzled anybody's money. I've done nothing to belong in this absolute hellhole. So I'll give you a little, so today is April 11th, 2024. My name is Chille Castro. I am locked up in the Clark County Detention Center for filming a cop. It's on video. I'm innocent of any kind of obstruction, and I shouldn't be here. But I only have 89 days before the appeal. So you guys can put that down on your calendar. And Brian, let me know if those are the exact amount of days, I believe. I believe it's 89 days until July 10th. And on July 10th, my appeal will be heard.
Well, now, let's just take a look at that for a minute, shall we? Your hearing for an appeal with the same judge that sentenced you was denied. You remember that day. Boy, you look like shit that day. Well, you look like shit every day. And then what happened? Your bail hearing was denied. There was no hearing. The judge denied it, said no, you didn't even get to go to that hearing. So you think the third time's a charm, do you? Good luck on that.
And I'm trying to go with a mantra that whatever doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. And I am not going to be beat down. I am not going to allow my mental fortitude to be destroyed. I am going to push forward and persevere. I'm continuing to write out my memoirs and to write my book, and I'm continuing to journal everything that I see, hear, and experience, so that people on the outside of these walls can understand exactly what I'm going through and what this system teaches you. And it's not good. It's just not good. So for the people who support me and my friends who love me and my family, I'm okay, and I'm not going to give up. Write it on your calendar, 89 days to go. 89 days to go. And just let the days count down. Every day you look at that calendar, 88 days to go, 87 days to go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow all the rules here. I'm nothing but, I'm respectful to the guard, like I am in the Navy, that I am locked away in a dungeon, and there's nothing that can be done about it. Yesterday, one of my buddies joked, he said, run outside, climb the chain link fence, get out of there. And I said, oh, no. There's not a chain link fence outside. You can just jump over. There's 150,000 guards between me and the there's double locking magnetic doors, and then another set of locking doors, and another set of locking doors, and then when they take you out of here to go to any court, they chain you. They chain me. They chain me with a chain around my waist, and they torture cuff my wrists, and then when I go in to see the judge, they put leg shackles on my ankles, as though a misdemeanor offense equals that you are Charlie Manson, you are Hannibal Lecter. And that is truly, it is, when you go to the court, there's hundreds and hundreds of men, and all of us are in chains. It is the most surreal thing I've ever seen.
You're not at Club Med, bro. You're in jail. And jail's not supposed to be a pleasant place. It's a deterrent, so you don't do the mistakes you have made in the past and come back again. Yeah, 'cause you always want to be a tough guy. Call police coppers and pigs. You're in the right place, man. You're in the right place. We only hope that you can stay the full 6 months and then somewhere down the road maybe get a full year. That's what we all hope for, Chille, because you're well hated, no doubt about it.
Going into the holding cell waiting to go to court with at least 50, 80 men in that holding cell in a room that should hold 25 people, and we are all in chains, every single one of us, and a good portion of us have ankle chains on. Just so absolutely morbid to believe that, like that crazy person. We're not. We absolutely are not. It's the same thing with looking up your backside. When I was put in the hole for live streaming a phone call, they have a policy, procedure, and protocol they follow here. And when I was put into the hole, they march you down there, and you have to strip. And I've said it already. I'll say it again. I'll tell you what that exact little bit was, so I'm not giving away anything of the jail. They tell me, you're going to go in this room, you're going to turn around, you're going to face the wall, and you're going to strip. You're going to take off all your clothes, then you're going to bend over at the waist, not the knees. You're going to spread your butt cheeks, and you're going to cough and turn in any direction. I'm going to consider that an act of aggression, and I will hurt you. Do you understand? So they did that to me, and then I laid there in that solitary with no pen or pencil, no book. You just sit there. It's a form of punishment, right? And I sat there and thought to myself, what's the percentage of people that bend over and there's something up their butt? I'm going to bet of the dozens and dozens and dozens or hundreds of people they bring down to the hole every day that it's not even one. I'll bet you they go days, weeks without ever seeing anybody with anything up their butt. I'll bet you they could go months without seeing anybody with something up their butt. And then one guy, one time, puts a balloon of drugs up his butt, and now we all need to have our butts looked up. The laugh is not enjoyment. The laugh is disgusting irony and disgust. It's just so nasty.
You know, I'm starting to wonder about Chille, because he's been talking a lot about these strip searches lately in his butt. I don't know, maybe he's getting in touch with his inner child, with his feminine child. Yeah, his feminine side. What do you think, good people? Well, I think being locked down with a bunch of men all day, yeah, unfortunately, I guess that kind of stuff happens in jail. Yuck.
You really need to look up my ass because I live streamed a phone call with a journalist? You need to look up my ass? Or is that a way to break you down spiritually, emotionally, so that you become a bag of shit? Like you guys saw me in that courtroom that day. I had been in that hole for 5 days. The first time I saw people who weren't in chains, I just started crying because I knew I was going right back to that frickin' hole. I can tell you this, that when I was brought down to the hole and I was put through that horrible process of being torture cuffed, they arrest you. When they bring you out of your dorm, if you do something wrong, you're under arrest. You get put in torture cuffs. They drag you down there. I told you about a panic attack I had. It was horrifically bad. I couldn't breathe. And then there was a guard down there when they had these four burly dudes around me bend over and cough. Mr. W. I have a near photographic memory if I want to remember things, and I look at every name tag now and I memorize it. So Mr. W was one of the guys who had me bent over on the wall, and then about 3 or 4 days later, when a new bunkie was brought into my isolation cube, Mr. W was there, and they said, "Come out of there." And I thought, "Oh man, I'm gonna, you never know what's gonna happen to you. You're locked down 23 hours." And I went and I had to stand outside, and I had to put my face to the wall. And then I said, "Am I in trouble? Am I gonna get hurt? Is something gonna happen to me right now?" And Mr. W was one of the guys who had initially put me in there, and he was standing over my shoulder. He said, "Chille, no one's gonna hurt you." He knew my name, and I glanced over my shoulder, and I said, "Oh, Mr. W, how are you today, sir?" And he said, "You're just getting a new bunkie, man. Don't worry about it." And Mr. W, when you look at him on the outside, he's this gregarious, attractive, healthy young man in the prime of his life, younger than me by 10 or 15 years.
I guess when those metal doors clang shut, you're all alone except for your roommate. That's why they call it the slammer. Yeah, I'm worried about Chille. He said a couple times that he found another man attractive. Chille, I didn't know that you were like that, man. I mean, yeah, I guess so. This is Chille when he was 30 years old. He was on a local talk show and talked about how he found his partner attractive. Oh, dearie me.
This is my daily report from the Clark County Detention Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. Stick with me, Team DLZ. Stick with me. Don't give up. We don't stop under any circumstances, under any conditions. Pray for me. I'm every day I have real, legitimate concern for my safety. Yeah, listen, my team is still working. I still have the hoodies. I still have the cop cards. I still have the trifolds. Please, go by the website and pick up a trifold, a cop card. Everybody should have those cop cards. You guys saw, you have to plead the Fifth Amendment. You absolutely have got to have it. And use the card and use your phone. If you get pulled over, you pull the trifold down from your visor, and you use the trifold, you invoke your Fifth Amendment right. You don't say anything. We saw what me talking in court did for me by not using my Fifth Amendment right, just to remain silent, let my lawyer talk, even if he didn't do that great of a job. I believe if I had remained silent, I wouldn't have triggered Ann Zimmerman, and she wouldn't have thrown me in the dungeon. You got to use your trifold. You got to use your cop card. This is the last batch of hoodies for this year. I'm not free. I can't run downtown LA and pick up another batch of hoodies and get them printed. This is the last batch of hoodies. So no matter what size you get it and put it on the wall, because you know why? I may not make it out of here alive. Look, I don't respect Judge Zimmerman's decision here. I have made a promise to remain respectful and to show deference to the court, so I'm just expressing my opinion. I don't think Ann Zimmerman did it right. I think that she did it wrong. And there's no way to hold her accountable. There's nothing I can do other than stating my opinion and my perspective in the media. That's all I can do. I only hope and pray that if you do believe judges text each other and they call each other, I hope and pray that the Honorable Judge Leavitt is not communicating with Ann Zimmerman, and I hope that they have not formed any kind of, anything against me. I hope that I can get a fair and impartial appeal, and I think if I do get a fair and impartial appeal, that I will be let out of this jail on July 11th.
Well, I tell you what there, Mr. DeCastro, we're doing everything we can here on the outside to make sure that you stay in there on the inside. Oh yeah, everybody's well aware of your antics in jail. How you just have to broadcast to keep your channel alive. It's all a bunch of malarkey. We're trying to get your channel taken down, by the way, too. We're still working on that.
But make no mistake about it, people. My life is in jeopardy every second of every day. This is not a safe place. This is one of the most dangerous places in the world. You guys can read about it. The Clark County Detention Center is listed as one of the most difficult jails in America and dangerous. And I've written a long chapter about incarceration versus segregation. And I believe that when I get out of here and I get into leadership in government, I'm going to change incarceration to segregation is what I'm going to do. And that's my plan, and I'm writing it in a book so you guys can read about it yourselves. I wrote in-depth detail about what segregation means versus incarceration. This isn't healthy. I've also got a tooth problem, and I've requested to see a dentist. You guys know I just had oral surgery, and now I'm having a tooth problem, and you can't get dental floss in here. I don't know why you can't get dental floss on the little tiny plastic stick that has that little one inch piece of dental floss strung between two pieces of plastic. I just put in what's called a request or a kite to see a dentist because I'm having a problem in my upper right teeth where I had oral surgery. So I'm going to call my attorney after we hang up here, and I'm going to tell him I need to get some dental floss. I only got about 45 seconds left. I want to say thank you to Brian. Him taking these calls and doing live streams on my channel. I'm in the greatest debt to this man, and to my friends Jay, my friend M, to my friend D, to my friend J, my friends who have stepped up for me and are running my business, the trifold and cop card business and hoodie business. Thank you so much, and I'm so grateful to you guys who have helped me. And
thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
What a bunch of bloody palaver that was, huh? Hey, you know what I'm going to play now. Let's take a look at his appeal that went right down in flames. That was a good video. Let's roll that clip.
All right, Jose De Castro, 23CR013015.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chris Thorne on behalf of Mr. Castro. He's present.
Nice to see you, Chris. Good morning.
Good morning, Agnes Patel from the State Farm number 11064.
All right, this is your motion.
Yes, Your Honor. First of all, I've had a chance to watch the video of the trial. I watched Mr. De Castro come into the courtroom in an extraordinarily disrespectful fashion and refer to the marshal in the most inappropriate way. I then saw some other things that I consider very poor courtroom antics. And Mr. De Castro was convicted. He is given 6 months in jail. One thing I know he's going to do today is, for no other purpose, no matter what your ruling is, he wants to say sorry. I've asked him if he'd say sorry to the court. I understand that you may see it as that he should have apologized to the marshal. I don't see the marshal in here that he did this with. One thing I would note for the court is that the issues that I saw seem to be significant constitutional issues. The court addressed it, but what I did notice is that this should have been really briefed beforehand on First Amendment issues so the court could have had that. That's no fault of.
This case has nothing to do with the First Amendment. We're going to hear that in just a few moments. Yeah, Chille always wants to make it about the First Amendment and the fact that he's a journalist. But I tell you what, today's appearance is in stark contrast to last time. Look at him. He's only been in jail for what? Less than 2 weeks. He looks like he's a broken man. Of course, that could all be an act for him just to play sympathy to the judge, but it's not going to work today, sweetheart.
I think it just should have been done beforehand. I also noticed that at time of sentencing, the state asked for a suspended sentence, but Mr. Castro just pushed it, and I see reasonably agitated and irritated the court into causing a sentence that is now 6 months. This man, from what I can tell, Your Honor, has no prior felony convictions whatsoever. I'm doing that upon information and belief. I haven't run the scope. I know the state could do that, but I don't see that he has any felony convictions. He's made his appearances, and I think the time in jail has been shocking to him. I know it has because I can tell the reaction of the calls every day and how difficult it is for him. I think he pushed this and is learning a very, very difficult lesson in life. I would ask the court to consider, based upon his ties to the community, with sister here, nephew, he has a whole bunch of people who wanted to come to court, which I suggested may be a very, if they're going to come here, be respectful and mindful of what's already occurred in this court. But what I asked the court to do, given his lack of any serious criminal history, his remorse for his behavior in this courtroom during that trial, and the fact that the state at the time did not want jail time, is I'd ask for an appeal bond, Your Honor, so that the issue can be, these issues can be properly raised And so with that, Your Honor, I asked for an OR. I would just say a reasonable bail. I would suggest that since he came to the trial, since he already has gotten a taste of what inappropriate behavior in a courtroom looks like and feels like, I would ask for a bail in the amount of $10,000 or $20,000, appeal bond in the amount of $10,000 or $20,000.
With all the money that Chille is raising on his GoFundMe pages, why can't he afford a decent attorney? This guy is not well spoken. Yeah, well, Your Honor, as I can tell, he doesn't have any felonies. He either does or he doesn't, not as you can tell. And then he says, Mr. DeCastro has a whole bunch of people in here supporting him. What kind of language is that for a top-notch attorney? A whole bunch of people? Let's carry on.
With that, Your Honor, I submit.
Your Honor, may I respond orally? Typically, pursuant to the Nevada Rules of Criminal Practice, the state has 10 days to file an opposition, but this was placed on calendar very quickly, so I would ask for leave of the court to answer orally.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm in receipt of Mr. Orum's motion for bail or in the alternative for his own recognizance release. I would note that NRS 178.488 does make it discretionary upon this court whether you would allow bail pending appeal. Mr. DeCastro, there has been a briefing schedule set before Judge Levitt in district court on the appeal, but it's not set to be heard until July. It's discretionary, Your Honor, as with a lot of the bail settings in Nevada, it's discretionary. And the state will oppose this court setting a bail at this point. There seems to be this assumption that this court sentenced Mr. DeCastro to 6 months in the Clark County Detention Center just because of his conduct or his inappropriate conduct in court. I would venture to say that Your Honor presided over the trial where you found guilt beyond a reasonable doubt for both the obstructing a police officer and resisting a police officer. You saw his conduct in the body-worn camera by the officer, and I would venture to say, and I would submit to the court, that the 6-month sentence that you imposed isn't simply for his behavior in court or his behavior to your marshals, but that it is an appropriate sentence placed upon the defendant by the court due to the charges and the evidence that you saw during trial. There's also been this claim that Mr. DeCastro has stayed trouble-free for most of his life. I would venture to say, yes, he does not have felony convictions, he does not have gross misdemeanor convictions, but he does have pretty consistent contact with law enforcement. He does have a warrant out of Ohio for a trespass.
Yeah, he sure does have a warrant out of Ohio. That's why he couldn't file a counterclaim on Dr. Dave, file a lawsuit. He couldn't come to Ohio. The poor lad. Because I sure would have turned him in. No doubt about that. Now let's listen a little bit more to the prosecutor. And remember, this prosecutor asked for a 90-day suspended sentence. Chille just couldn't shut his mouth, though, could he?
Have a warrant out of Ohio for a trespass. And I understand that's a piddly misdemeanor. However, it is a warrant status. And he has a pending case in Las Vegas Justice Court for the very same offenses that the court heard during the trial here. As to the claim that, hey, there were issues before trial and there should have been First Amendment issues raised or briefed prior to, Your Honor, defense counsel was able to argue the First Amendment defense. Your Honor heard these arguments both during the trial and during closing arguments. Mr. DeCastro, when he took the stand, raised them as a defense, but Your Honor held after listening to all of the evidence and applying the law, or found him guilty regardless. This was not a First Amendment issue. The state stands by that. This was simply the defendant breaking the law. And he was sentenced accordingly for his behavior. It was a conduct, it was a consequence, an appropriate sentence imposed by the court to the defendant. And so we would oppose any kind of change or any kind of bail setting or an OR at this point. This is not a pre-trial detention. This is not a pre-trial, as Valdez-Jimenez was cited also in defense counsel's motion. Valdez-Jimenez stands for pre-trial detention. Mr. DeCastro is no longer cloaked with the presumption of innocence. He has been found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt by Your Honor. And so at this point, I would ask that the 6-month sentence that you imposed stand and that he remain in custody.
Mayor, I'd like to agree.
Yes, and I would ask the interpreter to quit reading. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Oh, dearie me. Sounds like Chille's gonna be doing some sober living for 6 months. And he made a new friend. Just don't drop that soap in the shower, Chille. I'm telling you, Bubba will get you.
So the interpreter over there, yeah, Merrick speaking. Oh.
I was talking about the
Oh, I'm
Spanish
sorry.
interpreter. Yes, go ahead.
Your Honor, the statute we cited is, in fact, just discretionary to you to determine on appeal, pending appeal, whether a appeal bond can be issued. I hear the state. I recognize that you found him guilty. I'm not trying to in any way argue that. On appeal, there are legitimate issues. The court can see that, you know, there are some First Amendment issues just from watching the video, things that a court could consider on appeal. And so that's the only basis I'm bringing that up on. But given the fact that I think he really is contrite for what he's done.
I disagree. Have you watched the videos that have been posted since he's been incarcerated?
I have. I'm in a murder trial.
Okay, so.
So I had a chance.
So he's going to apologize to me in a minute, but that's not what he's saying on what he's publishing online in his phone calls from the jail. That's not what he's saying at all. And are you aware that he has a trial pending in Las Vegas Municipal Court? He has a case pending in Good Springs Justice Court where he continues to manufacture situations where he'll get arrested.
Chille, the judge has been watching your little shows from jail. She's been listening into you. Act like a big man. Perhaps you'll stop doing those live streams from jail, huh, Chille? Yeah, you're just trying to save your YouTube channel. I get it, but I don't think there's any hope in saving your channel. You'll be in that slammer for 6 months, boy.
Your Honor, I recognize that's what he was sort of doing for a living, and this is, he's now being incarcerated.
Right. So what he's saying in the couple of weeks since he's been incarcerated, when he calls from the jail and publishes them on his website, is not what he's about to say to me. Okay? So he's going to apologize to me now, but that's not what he's doing publicly, okay?
Yes, Your Honor, I hear that. I won't have him speak at this time, but I would still ask you to consider that there may be legitimate issues. I think there are for Judge Levitt to consider, and I think these are sort of issues of first impression. That was the other thing I saw, is that in the state of Nevada, I can't find any case law that specifically talks about this filming of police officers. What I would say to the court is I recognize that it's obnoxious behavior. That's what it appears to be. Whether it's protected is another thing that I think higher courts need to look at. But I can see if the court has already made up the court's manual.
Well, I want to be clear. I did not have a problem with him filming, and I said that when I sentenced him. That was not the issue. It was the safety issues that he created with his behavior. And I also did not sentence him because of his ridiculous behavior in court. That wasn't why I sentenced him to jail. I sentenced him because I found him guilty beyond reasonable doubt, and I thought that was the appropriate sentence. I could have given him 180 days on each count and ran it consecutive for a year in jail, but I didn't. And his behavior was unacceptable in court, but that's not what I sentenced him for. I did not sentence him for his behavior in court. I sentenced him for his behavior for the 2 charges that he faced.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so your motion is denied. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you have it, good people. Back to the slammer. Yeah, or in his case, it could be the pokey, or it could be both. Yeah, I think it would be appropriate to play the original court hearing where Chille acted like a real jackwagon. Let's go ahead and roll that clip and celebrate him being locked up for 6 straight months. Go ahead.
All right, Jose Castro, 23 CR 013015.
Good morning, Your Honor. Agnes Botello and Lincoln Cave for the record. Good morning, State.
Good morning, Michael Me on behalf of the defendant present with me this morning.
So I have signed 2 media requests that permit recording or photographing these proceedings, but I have not granted any other requests to record or live stream these proceedings. So I need Mr. DeCastro and everybody else who wants to stay in the courtroom to surrender their phones. or you can leave.
Are your phone helping and I'll take one, or you can exit.
I need Mr. DeCastro to empty all of his pockets.
What's that?
Empty your pockets.
And give up your phones to the judge.
Okay.
I have to give you my phones?
Yeah.
My phones have to be completely off.
Yep. I don't really want to be part of your YouTube channel. So.
You already are.
Great.
You already are.
Awesome.
I'm not gonna get into this guy though. I'll give him someone else. I can't
No,
touch him myself.
no, they're gonna go to my marshal.
He's a pig.
Excuse me?
I said he's a pig.
Okay. So I'm not gonna permit you to speak to anybody in my courtroom in that manner. And if you don't want to apologize, I'm gonna hold you in contempt.
I apologize to the court, Your Honor.
No, you can apologize to, they've done nothing to you.
Actually, Your Honor, when you were here, you came over and gave me a directive for no reason and started telling me what to do.
Okay, well.
I have all the respect in the world for the court. I follow the rule of law all the time.
No, it is their job to maintain the safety and security of the courtroom.
I agree with you, Your Honor.
So, if you want to speak like that in my courtroom, I'm gonna hold you in contempt. And if I hold you in contempt, you're going to jail. That is not my wish. Okay?
I wish you would.
All right. So I need you to empty your pockets too. Suit pocket, pants pocket.
This is illegal. This is a violation of my Fourth Amendment.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. I don't have any recording devices on me. What are you talking about?
How about suit jacket?
I don't have anything on me. This is preposterous.
No, it's
This really
not.
is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Mr. Me, your phone too. Off.
They're recording everything.
They have a media request.
Right, and I'm not recording anything. Your guy here took my phone, so his phone's not on.
Right.
Should make sure off. You have to take the lawyer's phone too?
No, I'm not gonna take the lawyer's phone. He's an officer of the court. All right, do we have everybody's phones? Are they off? All right, good. All right.
So within the first couple of minutes here, Chille's managed to offend the judge, offend the police, and probably offend his mama. Yeah, Chille, you better watch it, because you'll be held in contempt of court. Well, it plays out even better than that. Let's keep rolling the clip.
All right, this is the time set for the trial of State of Nevada versus Jose DeCastro, 23 CR 013015. Is the state ready to proceed?
Yes, we are, Your Honor.
How many witnesses do you have?
We anticipate one.
All right, is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I have your request to convert counsel to standby counsel. I'm going to deny that request. Either you represent him or he should have previously requested a Faretta canvas to represent himself. But I just consider that a delay tactic, so that request is denied. Are you ready to proceed? Otherwise, I'm assuming you are.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's see.
And we're not going to listen to the entire proceeding. I'll put a link in the description box if you want to watch the entire thing for yourself. But look at the smart-ass look on Chille's face. Oh, he's real smug now. But about 90 minutes from now, he's not going to be so smug. Let's go ahead and jump ahead a bit.
1 hour later.
Your Honor, I call Jose DeCastro.
Yeah.
Raise your right hand to be sworn by the clerk. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please be seated.
Mr. DeCastro, before you testify, I'm obligated to inform you that you have the right to testify in this proceeding, but you also have the right to remain silent, and should you choose to remain silent, I may not hold that against you in making my decision. Do you understand that?
I do.
And do you still wish to testify?
Yes, I do.
All right, please go ahead.
You have a YouTube channel?
Yes, I do.
Can you give some insight into what that channel was about?
Objection, relevance.
What's the relevance?
Your Honor, the relevance is that we're presenting a First Amendment defense, and the defendant is a member of the press. There's different standards for First Amendment rulings where there is public policy at issue. He can give insight into that.
I'm going to allow it for a bit and see where it goes.
Yes, I do have I do have a YouTube channel, and the reason I have a YouTube channel is because of how many cops kill people every year, how many cops hurt, maim, torture, rape, and kill people every single year. It's such an epidemic that the rest of the world I get thousands of emails saying, only in America does this happen. I started filming cops because when I was cheated in 2002 and
Objection at this point, relevance,
well, this is the reason I'm a member of the press.
this narrative.
So, can you ask him a question?
Yes, Your Honor. What type of films do you make for your YouTube channel?
I only film police in their official capacity. I'm known across the country and across the world.
Oh, you pompous twit. I'm known all over the world. Yeah, for being a jackwagon. No doubt about it. But let's listen in some more, shall we?
And why do you engage in that type of filming?
So I'm going to ask you, Mr. Mead, to direct your questions about the incident in question.
The reason I was filming Mr. Gort that day?
Objection, Your Honor. Oh, I'm sorry.
So
there wasn't a question posed, so I'm not sure what he was.
Mr. DeCastro, on the dating question, why did you approach that vehicle?
I was filming that cop because that's what I do for a living. I am a member of the press, and I invoked my right to be press. I always invoke my right to be press within the first 10 seconds of engaging with police, and I have thousands of videos that prove this.
So this is how you make money?
This is not how specifically I make money. I make money from selling legal documents to people.
Okay, go ahead.
Now wait a minute, Chille. You want us to believe that you make your money from selling indestructible trifles? According to Social Blade, you're making a shitload of money. Let's say those figures are way off and you only make 1/3 of that. That's still a sizable amount of money. But you want us to believe you make all your money from selling books and trifles online? Right, sonny boy. We were born at night, but it wasn't last night. How stupid do you think we are? And the judge is smarter than you.
Do you recall the officer telling you to back up?
Yes, I do.
And what did you do after he told you to back up?
I took a couple steps back. I just showed him that I was willing to back up a little bit. However, if I may, in Arizona, they created a 10-foot law.
Objection, relevance, we're not in Arizona, it's the state of Nevada.
So I'm going to allow it because I think that goes to why he kept saying 10 feet in the video, even though I will take judicial notice that you're not in the state of Arizona, you're in the state of Nevada.
Well, a federal judge struck it down, Your Honor, and...
Stop. Can you ask him a question?
Yes, Your Honor. Approximately how many feet did you back up?
I backed up a foot or two. I was at least 10 feet away from that car that the driver was pulled over in.
And when you spoke to the driver, what did you say?
Just after she was okay. The reason I film police is because they abuse people so often.
Do you recall the officer telling you not to speak with the driver?
Yes.
And did you make any statements to the driver after that command was given?
Absolutely not.
Did the officer ever give you a specific distance to back up to?
No, he didn't.
If he did, would you have complied with that?
Sure.
Did you believe you were complying with the officer's commands?
100%. I also informed him I'm a member of the press, I'm a constitutional law scholar, that this is what I do.
Now, just so we're all on the same page here, let's take a quick look at what got Chille into trouble into the first place. Roll that brief clip.
Don't tell me what to do.
Please go that way.
Don't tell me what to do.
Then let's just
You're
start
not my
walking.
boss.
I'm giving you a lawful order. Let's start walking now. Let's go. We're going this way.
Are you going to put your hands on me now? Leave me
Let's
alone.
go. Come on. This way.
Well, don't touch me, dude.
I'm just
standing here.
escorting you
I'm
to
just
where you
standing.
need to go.
Are you guys going to surround me? Leave me alone.
I am escorting you to where
There's
you
no
need
reason
to
to
go.
do this. I'm not trying to fight anybody.
I'm
There's
not
no
saying you're
victim
doing
here.
it.
There's no crime. You're just trying to dominate another person. Just leave me alone. Okay, I can leave, but you don't have to walk up on me.
Let's go. You haven't
So
left
what's
yet.
the emergency? Is there an
Because
emergency?
somebody's dead,
sir. Is that enough emergency? Well, where are they at? Let's go. Where are they at? Where are they at? Are they right here? Let's go.
Do you recall the officer explaining to you why he decided to arrest you?
There's several parts to the reason why he said he was going to arrest me. He said he was going to arrest me because I wouldn't turn my head a certain direction. If I didn't turn and face the car with my head, that he would place me under arrest instead of just giving me a ticket.
Do you recall him explaining why he decided to detain you before he arrested you?
He decided to detain me because he said I was obstructing, which, from my understanding, is a physical act where I would have to get in the way. He said that the driver deserves privacy. I believe my First Amendment rights are not up for feelings.
Did he explain to you that the basis of your detention was related primarily to the issue of privacy or the issue of you backing up?
Well, I think from the officer's testimony, we can see that he's scared of the driver, scared of me, scared of everything. They teach them to be afraid of everything. So I had 2 cameras out. It's identified as a member of the press. I'm sorry, repeat the question. I want to get it specific for the record.
Sure. The question was, did the officer explain to you that the basis of your detention was because of you not backing up or because of the privacy issue of the driver?
It was both. He said that, he told me to back up. I backed up a little bit. Then he said, she deserves privacy. And then I told him to go get in your car, little doggy, and write your ticket. And at that point, his face turned bead red and his veins in his neck stuck out because we were over 20 feet away. And you had to holler to hear each other because the wind was probably 30 miles an hour.
Did you at any point attempt to hit any of the officers involved?
No, absolutely not.
Did you intentionally swat at any of the officers?
Absolutely not. He was giving me unlawful commands. I should not have been detained after identified as a member of the press. If he ever reached a hand out towards me, I wrestle and teach MMA and I have for 30 years. So it's just a natural reaction as I'm retreating from somebody. If I may have put my hand up, as he said, as he testified himself, I certainly am a law-abiding citizen. I don't break the law. So I would not have tried to assault an officer under any circumstances.
Is it possible that during the interactions there was inadvertent contact between you and the officer?
Sure, he decided to go hands-on with me when he was giving me unlawful commands. And there was absolutely no reason for it. I was willing to comply with anything he asked within reason because I don't want to have a fist fight with another man on the street.
Do you recall the officer ordering you to go to his patrol vehicle?
I do.
And what did you do in response to that?
Initially, I told him no, but then when he began to get physical with me and start to grab me and touch me, I said, okay, I'll go over to your car. His car was 35 feet away. I then led him to his car. It's on video, you can see it. I walked right up to his car, and then he insisted still on grabbing me. After he saw me pull out an additional phone, which that's what press people do. We have lots of cameras on us.
And did you inform the officer that you were a member of the press?
Oh, several times. It's in the transcripts. I've transcribed them myself. Several times I told him I'm a member of the press.
And did you explain to the officer that you have a background in constitutional law?
Yes, I told him I'm a constitutional law scholar, which was a moniker given to me by other people who are also, they have their own channels, their own press, and that's what some other lawyers on another channel called me 3 years ago.
So let me get this straight, Chille. You're a constitutional law scholar because somebody else on a different channel said you are. You're so full of it. Let's roll a clip just to dispel that notion.
I'm also a constitutional law scholar. I'm a constitutional law scholar, not a mathematician. So, okay. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm a constitutional law scholar. I'm a constitutional law scholar. Terry equals immediate detainment unless you're a constitutional law scholar.
I'm broadcasting this message to my thousands of followers on YouTube. I'm a constitutional law scholar.
You don't have to be smart. You don't have to be a constitutional law scholar. Focus on the numbers. You don't have to be a constitutional law scholar. Let me ask you something. So I'm a constitutional law scholar. You see on the back of my Don't talk to them. You're not a constitutional law scholar. Yes, it is. Who's the constitutional law scholar? Who's the cop? You know, I'm a constitutional law scholar. I'm a constitutional law scholar.
So I'm not going to follow a mandate because I'm a constitutional law scholar. I'm a constitutional law scholar. I teach civil liberties.
While yours says elementary school, mine says constitutional law scholar. You're a clown, dude. I'm a constitutional law scholar. A constitutional law scholar.
Just to get some further background. Were you looking for police to report on this particular day?
No, the cops hide on the side of the road to pull people over. It's pretty regular in our country. I was just in the parking lot there. I saw that Mr. Bork had somebody pulled over, concerned for her safety. I began to film.
And why do you think that law enforcement traffic stops are relevant to the public?
That's where most people get killed.
Objection relevance to that question. Move to strike.
Sustained.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
State.
I have no questions for this witness.
Thank you, sir. You may step down. Does it suspend trust?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Any argument by the state?
Your Honor, the state asks you to find the defendant guilty of both the obstructing a public officer as well as resisting a public officer charged against him. The video very adequately portrays, and I don't think it's disputed by the defendant, what the context was of the interaction with the officer. I would venture to say that had the defendant just complied with the original order to not engage with the driver and to back up, we wouldn't be here. He wouldn't have found himself further engaging with Officer Bork. This is not a First Amendment issue. As you heard over and over and over again on the video, Officer Bork did not have a problem with the defendant recording. It's not a First Amendment issue. It's an officer safety issue. Here you have an officer who conducted a lawful traffic stop. You saw the nature of the stop. There was no animosity between the officer and the driver. It was rather peaceful. They were engaged, banter back and forth. He would have, as he testified, he was trying to determine whether he was going to cite her or let her go with a warning. And then you have an individual, the defendant, introduce himself to a situation. Traffic stops, Your Honor, are inherently dangerous, particularly in crowded parking lots, I guess anywhere, I would venture to say. This officer was reasonable in thinking that anyone who would approach in the manner that the defendant approached his scene would have a reason to fear for his safety, or at least be suspicious of this individual's motives coming in. The officer had no problem with the recording. The officer had no problem with the defendant observing. It was when he inserted himself into this lawful detention that was occurring with the Hyundai driver that the officer turned his attention onto the defendant. This is not a First Amendment issue. This is an individual who took what he perceived to be his rights too far. The officer was well within his right, as well as acting reasonably when he asked him to back up. That 21-foot rule, it's appropriate. He said that was the training that they received in terms of the distance that's allowed for someone who means to do them harm. It's a threat assessment. We don't know when the defendant approached whether he had a gun concealed, whether he had a knife concealed, whether he had other weapons. And you'll hear multiple times in the video, Officer Bork yelling, "Stop reaching, stop reaching." This is an unknown, when defense counsel asked Officer Bork all of these questions about how it is that you do this, and Officer Bork kept responding, it depends on the situation, it depends on the totality of the circumstances. Here was an officer acting alone, individually, engaged one-to-one with a driver. That he had no problem with. You insert another individual who enters the scene in the manner that the defendant did, and now this officer's attention is going to be divided. He had every reason to fear for his safety as well as that of the driver. Again, if he had just complied with the officer's commands or demands to back up, and a lot was made about, hey, he didn't have an opportunity to tell the defendant exactly how far back. As the officer testified, even just with the, hey, back up, the defendant didn't back up, not willingly. That's why the officer had to continue to engage with him and force him into the situation. Had he complied, he would not have been charged with obstruction. Had he complied initially, he would not have been charged with the resisting. The officer was, you are going to have to assess credibility. There's nothing in the video or Officer Bork's testimony that would cause the court to question his veracity or his intention for that matter. He was very honest in that he didn't believe the defendant wasn't trying to harm him necessarily with the SWAT. That's why the defendant wasn't charged with the battery on a protected person or a police officer. But that SWAT, Your Honor, I would argue, was meant to resist. At that point in time, the officer was trying to detain him and subsequently arrest him on the obstruction, as depicted in the video. And so at this point, I think we've proved by beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant did hinder Officer Borth's investigation and detention of the Hyundai driver, and that he resisted the officer's arrest and or attempt to arrest him. And so we would ask that you find the defendant guilty of both.
Right? Thank you.
We're not going to listen to Chille's long-winded attorney try to get him out of this because there is no getting out of it. He's guilty as charged. So let's skip to the sentencing phase because that's the good part. Roll that clip.
A few minutes later.
All right, Mr. DeCastro, please stand. The problem with the argument that your attorney makes is it completely fails to consider the safety of the officer and the safety of the driver. The officer doesn't know who you are, and the driver doesn't know who you are. And you don't have any right to interfere with that officer doing his investigation and deciding if he wants to issue a ticket to this driver. And you also don't have any business approaching the driver. The driver didn't ask you for help. The driver didn't say, help, help. You know, you didn't see an altercation happening between the officer and this driver. The officer didn't protest that you were filming. There's no problem with filming. You can film. It's fine. All right? But you did interfere with his investigation. You did interfere with his ability to do his job. You did put him in a position where he is concerned for his safety and the safety of the driver. So I believe the state's met their burden beyond a reasonable doubt. I'm going to find you guilty of obstructing a public officer and resisting a public officer. So I'd like to hear from the state and then your attorney prior to sentencing.
Your Honor, in terms of sentencing, I would ask that our defendant enter and complete an impulse control class. I would ask that the court lobby a $500 fine or the equivalent in community service. I would ask that the defendant be ordered to stay out of trouble for the pendency of the case. And I would ask for a 90-day suspended sentence. And that's on as to each count to run concurrent. That's our request. Thank you.
Take note that the prosecution is asking for a $500 fine and a 90-day suspended sentence in jail. And did you see the look on the judge when she said 90-day suspended sentence? The judge has something else in mind. Again, we're going to skip over the defense attorney. Let's get right to the crux of the matter.
A few minutes later.
When you say he doesn't wish to engage in any wrongdoing, it seems to me from observing him in the video that he wants this. He wants to get arrested. He wants to get into an altercation with police officers. He welcomes this. This helps his YouTube channel. He called the officers here in my courtroom today pigs. He called and he's nodding his head up and down. So apparently he hates every law enforcement officer in the United States. All right. Please stand up, sir. Are you finished with your request for credit for time served?
I would just emphasize, Your Honor, that the defendant testified and he sincerely believes that he is providing a public service when he reviews and films these incidents. I understand the court may have a different view of that, but when we're talking about First Amendment public policy issues such as supervising people involved in government, I think that is something the court can take into consideration, not to have a chilling effect on that. I'll spit on that, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. DeCastro, please stand. I hereby sentence you to 90 days in the Clark County Detention Center on count 1, 90 days in the Clark County Detention Center on count 2, to run consecutive for a total of 180 days in custody. Thank you.
Sentence suspended or?
Oh no, we're going to start right now.
Can you put two, please? I'm back to shoulders. This is a travesty of justice. Unbelievable. I don't like police. They put me in jail for half a year, sir. How long have I been in the jail? Just give me the car. Yeah, it's in the return. Can I give you my keys real fast? My keys are in the garage. They're inside my, can you enjoy? No, in the briefcase. Yeah.
I'll get your stuff.
It's a minivan, some popcorn plates on it. Get a hold of my assistant, James.
Now that's the true walk of shame right there, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't get any worse than that. Got his head down and he's walking back in torture cuffs. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to make him bend over, spread his butt cheeks, and look up there with a flashlight. Yeah, I bet you're going to love that, boy. Just to make sure he was in jail, I checked at the Clark County website, and there he is. He's an inmate. Oh, Chille, how embarrassing for you. Perhaps Chille should have brought his indestructible trifold to court. That might have helped him out a little bit. He could have showed the judge. Now, I couldn't find the original clip, the one that was played in court that got him put in jail. But here's another clip very similar to the one that got him in trouble today. Let's go ahead and roll this clip. And remember, enjoy.
Can we help you?
You could just do your job, mind your own business. That's what you could do.
Excuse me?
I told you, I'd say it again, you could mind your own business. I'm doing my job. I appreciate your time. But just, if I was you, I'd just shut your mouth so I don't put you in your place. That's what I'd do if I was you. I'd shut up. If I was you. Unless you want to look like an idiot on YouTube.
We're still pretty close to the road, so let's push this out a little bit further. If you just keep going that way for me, I'm okay if you videoing, but video over there for me.
Don't tell me where to stand. I'm a constitutional law scholar. I'm suing you guys for $5 million. I'll sue you for $5 million more.
Let's see if I have this right. A constitutional law scholar who's never won a lawsuit. Oh, and I'm telling you, Chille, you won't win the $5 million ones either. See, he's got two $5 million lawsuits filed in Las Vegas right now. They're going to laugh him out of court.
You don't have a right to tell me what to do.
I'm just asking you to
Shut
stand
your
over there.
piggish
We're
mouth.
still doing
And
it.
don't approach me. Shut your mouth.
Sir, do you see the crime
Shut
scene
your
tape
mouth
over there?
and shut your mouth.
Do you see
I'm
the
your
tape?
boss.
Do you see the tape
You
over there?
understand that?
Let's
Shut
go
your
back
mouth.
over
I'm
there.
walking down the street. Mind your own business.
No,
I'm just standing here. If you hadn't approached me,
sergeant.
don't come behind me, piggy. Okay? If you hadn't approached me, I don't give a damn what you are. You're not a sergeant. Shut your mouth. I'm here doing my job. I'm a member of the press. I invoke my First Amendment right.
Okay.
Now, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right, so don't ask me another question. Take 3 steps back, gentlemen. I'm not your suspect. Take 3 steps back from me.
So there's a crime scene
Take
tape
3
over
steps
there,
back
and
from
you're
me.
standing in a crime scene now,
I'm
so you
walking
need to
down the
leave.
street. I can walk
Okay.
anywhere I want.
Sir,
There's not crime
this is
scene
the
right
crime
here.
scene.
The crime tape would be over here then, wouldn't it, dunce cap?
Speaking of dunce cap, you're a member of the press, huh? Who do you work for? Oh, that's right. He's an independent jackwagon. Chille, I would have loved to seen him behind bars. He was behind bars for 12 hours. I bet he didn't run his smart mouth while he was in there, did he? He probably hid in the corner somewhere and prayed nobody would jump on him. Oh, he needed his mommy.
I get you didn't graduate from high school, did you?
Crime scene tape right there, okay? We're just asking you to
I don't
step
give a
over
rat's
there.
ass what you say. Do you understand that?
Sir,
I don't
you
care
don't have
what
to
you
make
say.
this
I'm not
difficult,
breaking
sir.
any laws. Make it difficult. If you'd mind your own damn business, we wouldn't be talking right now. If you hadn't opened your mouth, I wouldn't be talking to you.
I'm
just filming this.
You're okay to film.
I'm a member of
I'm
the
just
press.
asking
I
you to
told
film
you I
over
invoke
there.
my Fifth Amendment right. You don't have a
your-
right to
you
ask me
have-
questions.
You have your.
I got the
you have
First
your
Amendment.
press
What are the
documents.
first 5 big freedoms of the
Where are
First
your press
Amendment?
documents, You have your press
I'm a
documents, sir.
constitutional law scholar, you dunce cap. What's it like to
Sir,
be so stupid?
there's
I wonder
crime
what that's
scene
like.
tape right there,
What's
and
it
that's
like
where
to
you
be a
need to go.
moron?
You walk
What's it like to
underneath-
not know our
sir,
rights?
you walk underneath
Correct
the crime
him.
scene tape already, sir.
Hey, correct him, sir. Correct this man. Explain to him that he doesn't have a right. Don't put your hands on me.
I would love to talk to one of the prosecuting attorneys and see what their opinion is when he says, I'm a constitutional law scholar. Well, hey, constitutional law scholar, the Fifth Amendment is for when you testify in court. It's not for when you're standing on the street corner. Yeah, you invoke the Fifth Amendment in a court of law because you don't want to incriminate yourself. You stupid law professor.
He walked across.
Are you gonna run over and grab me? Are you gonna run over and grab me?
Sir, you've already.
Are you gonna run over?
Sir,
I don't. I'm walking down the street, gentlemen. I have a right to film this.
Keep walking.
You understand that?
I understand.
I have a right to film this. If you
film
touch
over
me,
there.
I will sue you. I
You're
sue
more than
cops
welcome.
every time.
Already, sir.
I was walking down the street. I have a right to do so.
Okay, but we are telling you that you need to
Your
continue
cop told me to walk over here. I have it on video.
Okay, and I understand that.
You're confronting me when you should be working on your job.
I love when frauditors say, I'm the boss. I'm your boss. You work for me. Not likely, Chille. Oh, no. Are you living in Nevada now? You bozo? Yeah, he's not a boss. He's a bozo. Lives in his van. Doesn't even have a permanent residence. You're a pitiful little man, Chille.
Go ahead and arrest me and find out how quick I sue your ass.
Sir.
Just do it.
Okay.
Okay, I have to walk the other way, so I'm going to be walking over here.
Go to the crime scene tape, sir.
Don't tell me what to do.
Please go that way.
Don't tell me what to do.
Then let's just
You're
start
not
walking.
my boss.
I'm giving you a lawful order. Let's start walking now. Let's go. We're going this way.
Are you going to put your hands on me now? Leave me
Bro,
alone.
listen, sir, we're going this way.
Well, don't touch me, dude.
I'm just standing here.
I'm
to where you need to go.
Are you guys going to surround me? Leave me alone.
I am escorting you to where
There's
you
no
need
reason
to
to
go.
do this. I'm not trying to fight anybody.
I'm
There's
not
no
saying you're
victim
trying to
here.
fight
There's
it,
no
sir.
crime. You're just trying to dominate another person. Just leave me alone. Okay, I can leave, but you don't have to walk up on me.
Let's go. You haven't
So
left
what's
yet.
the emergency? Is there an
Because
emergency?
Somebody's dead, sir. Is that enough emergency
Well,
for
where are
you?
they at?
Let's go.
Where are they at? Where are they at? Are they right here?
Let's go, sir.
Am I causing any problems?
Frauditors always talk about de-escalation, but Chille, no, he wants to escalate. He's the one that's causing the problem right now, and it's all for clicks and views. It's all for the camera. It's all for YouTube.
Sir, let's go.
The only thing you're
Come
doing
on.
is losing
Let's
your
go, sir.
cool, acting like an
Sir,
idiot.
the crime scene is
You're
right here.
acting like
Let's
a
go.
dunce cat.
Let's go, sir.
You're on
The
camera
crime scene
acting
is right
like a
here, sir. Let's
moron,
go.
bro.
Come on, sir.
No, look at this. I got 1, 2,
No, we're
3, 4
escorting
cops.
you to make sure
For
you
what?
leave
What good's it
the
doing?
area.
What good's it doing?
Just go on
You
the
don't
other
need to
side of the
escort me.
crosswalk.
Go back to where
You
you're
just haven't
going.
left
I'm
yet.
walking. I'm walking right now.
Now let's
Oh,
go.
now you're threatening me with violence. Now this guy's threatening me with violence.
Come on, let's
Let's go,
walk.
sir.
Now they're pushing me. Look at their hands all over me.
Go,
Look at
sir.
that. Look at that.
You're right.
All,
We're escorting you.
don't touch me, boys.
go.
Don't. What are you?
Well, there you have it, good people. Stupid is as stupid does, and they don't get much more stupid than Chille de Castro with his trifold, his indestructible trifold. Yeah, you picked on the wrong ones today, Chille. 12 hours behind bars. Too bad you couldn't do longer. Could have got to know Bubba and the boys. Well, at any rate, if you enjoy watching stupid people do stupid things on my channel, this is the place for you. And please subscribe. As always, thanks so much for stopping by, Chille. You want to file another false copyright strike, sweetheart? Feel free. Cheers to that.
I've actually studied English, and I have over a 400 level education in English. I'm not sitting down. I refuse to sit down. I refuse. Big tough guy. Big tough guy. Big tough guy. What are you gonna do about it? Nothing. Nothing. You can come try to make me. You're welcome to try to make me. Take a swing. Take a swing.
What is the reason for calling the officers here?
No reason to have.
I'm really unhappy that somebody did this to me.
I'm going to arrest you for trespassing in a minute.
On public property?
Yeah, we're asking you to leave and you're not leaving. That's trespassing.
She's right in my face, guys. You can't come up and touch me like that.
You don't have permission to film me in any space.
I don't need permission to
Yes, you do.
record you in public, man. No,
Actually,
that's
you
the
do.
law.
Oh, is that like a law?
against the law.
Oh, what law is that? Funny, because I've never heard about that. I pay for that uniform, I pay for that car, I'm the taxpayer, right? You work for me, right? You're just a little guy. You're just a little guy. You work for me. You are a public servant. You are a public servant. You work for me.